Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast for the coming week. We start here on the DXY on the daily time frame and see that we had a very strong sell-off in the dollar towards the end of the week, which seems to be a kind of a liquidation. At first glance, this is slightly counterintuitive because with the geopolitical situation, the uncertainty and the very strong sell-off in the stock market, we would expect clear flight to safety and the dollar strength. However, we had FOMC last week where they held rates but hinted a rate cut in September, as well as very poor non-farm payrolls and unemployment rates on Friday, which caused this heavy sell-off. So as it stands right now, with technically, it's very well possible that dollar is selling off a little bit further before creating a base, and the flight to safety regime is kicking in and the dollar is getting stronger. So we have to be slightly careful with dollar related setups. My overall bias for the coming week is still risk off. Moving on to the first pair, Euro US dollar. A very strong push to the upside towards the end of the week in Euro US dollar. So as it stands right now, I'm looking for a continuation long after such an impulsive move. Going down to the lower time frame, I'm looking for Euro to at least close the run into the previous high or even further up. So for that, I'm looking for, if possible, 1, 2, 3 bull flag continuation from this very small liquidity point. We see it clearer on the 15 minutes. So we had here a very short stall in price. So I'd like to see a retrace at least in this area before entering along. Next, New Zealand dollar, US dollar. This is a bit tricky because again, if the overall bias is actually risk off, I would favor New Zealand dollar shorts. So we see here on the 4 hour that at the moment it looks more for a continuation long, at least a temporary continuation long. So therefore I'm looking on the 1 hour for price to retrace into the base and forming a 1, 2, 3 for a short medium term continuation long. Next is US dollar Canadian. Price is in a clear uptrend at this point, broke out of this previous small high, still has some room to the next major higher time frame value area, as well then further potential to the upside. So right now I'm looking for a long, since Canadian dollar is still very weak and US dollar is kind of undecided. So I'm looking for a very clear technical confirmation and a very clear entry. So on the 1 hour time frame, we see we have two areas which are interesting for a potential long. So the first preferred would be for price to come all the way down into this small liquidity area here, starting actually an expanding structure for a continuation long. The second option would be if price is forming a 1, 2, 3 and using this small high, and which got retested here as a base for a bull flag continuation. Next, Euro Australian dollar, very clear bullish run at the moment. In a risk-off environment, the commodity currencies are getting weaker. Australian dollar has been weak last week already. Euro is kind of neutral. However, as it looks right now, we had a very impulsive run. We are here in a consolidation, continuation consolidation potentially, and so we have more than enough room for a further upside. So at the moment, I'm looking only for longs. Moving down to the 1 hour time frame, we see we have an expanding structure into this previous high, and are now looking for some form of continuation pattern, preferably into this small liquidity area here for a continuation long. The next is Euro Canadian dollar. As we said before, Canadian dollar is very weak. Euro is kind of neutral. However, again, we see we had a very nice impulsive move, some nice consolidation, some volume accumulation, broke out through this previous high, closed the gap to the next higher high here, and are actually now outside. So what we are looking for here, for a continuation long, preferably going back, retesting this small liquidity area here. We see it clearer on the 15 minutes in form of some expanding or a 1, 2, 3 into this area for a continuation long. Next, Euro New Zealand dollar. Very similar to Euro Australian dollar. However, price is not that nice positioned, but we see here on the daily time frame, we actually left a small gap to the higher time frame value area. When we started to sell off, price could not continue for a further sell-off. So last week I was more looking for a continuation short, but towards the end of the week, with this very strong impulsive run to the upside and the very strong retrace of 2 days of price action in one almost full body candle, I'm looking for a continuation long, slightly on the riskier side right now. So I'm looking for a very clear confirmation. As it stands, we have a small liquidity area here, and we said before, we saw the gap on the higher time frame. We are looking to fill this gap here. We need some form of volume accumulation in this area after this impulsive run to actually finish the last leg. Therefore, I'm looking for a bullish continuation pattern. Next, the yen pairs. We had the unexpected rate hike from the Bank of Japan last week, which actually also supported the liquidation in the US dollar, the unwinding of the carry trade in the yen. And we see here the run was very aggressive. So we are looking for a slightly bigger retrace and slightly bigger consolidation pattern to continue short, but we can definitely not buy any pairs against the yen at the moment. So we're only looking for shorts in all the yen pairs. We have some multiple options. I jump straight to the 1 hour. We are in a very strong momentum run. So we have some smaller liquidity areas here a small retest. We had a kind of a falling wedge here, another liquidity area here. So preferably after such a strong sell-off, we would like to see a bigger consolidation into a more weighted liquidity area here, something like that. However, if you're in such a strong momentum run, price does not necessarily have to go that far back. So that's why I will have a close look on the very first liquidity area here. So if price is forming something like that as a very nice continuation pattern, a flat flag with a 1, 2, 3, I'm happy to take it short here. Otherwise, we will see it very early. If price breaks out, this one is insignificantly higher than that. So that's basically just something to consider in terms of a stop placement. But if price starts to form some continuation out here or breaks out significantly from these two areas, so we will definitely wait for the next higher area and then see what we can get in the next higher liquidity area for a continuation short. New Zealand dollar yen is exactly the same. We see this very aggressive sell-off last week and are looking for a slightly bigger consolidation. But it's the same situation like all the other yen pairs. We are in a very strong momentum run, so price does not necessarily have to form a bigger continuation at all, even if we wish to do so. So moving down to the 1 hour time frame, we have here as well, we have some areas of interest. We had a very nice continuation pattern here, followed from a smaller structure, and then at the end of the week another short sell-off. So we have the first liquidity area here, second liquidity area here, and then the third could be the retest here or here. So and there's multiple areas to consider right now. The higher up, the better. Like a bigger retrace would be preferable, but it's not necessary for price to go all the way back up. So my first level will be this liquidity area here for a continuation short. And more preferably would be the second area here. That would be nice in proportion also on the next higher time frame. And price could also form kind of a steeper retrace, just tap into the area, break back in, and then we would look for some kind of continuation for a short entry. Next is Canadian dollar yen. You see here on the daily, it looks exactly the same than New Zealand dollar yen. We are looking also for the same. We are in the same situation. We have again multiple areas of interest. We are looking for either a momentum run, so only retesting the lower, the first smaller liquidity areas, but are prepared to take it higher up and would actually prefer a slightly bigger retrace in that moment. So we will not trade all the end pairs. So if one shapes up, probably all will shape up in some form, and we will just see which one gives us the best entry for a short. Lastly, Australian dollar, New Zealand. We see that price formed a wedge pattern into this previous high here, stalled, and then started to aggressively sell off. So at the moment we are looking for a continuation short, because we are at right now somewhere in no man's land. There is no significant area, so at least to this first area here, going down to the 1 hour time frame, I'm looking for preferably a flat flag continuation pattern. If possible, retesting the previous falling wedge here for a continuation short. I mean, there's multiple options how this can play out, of course. Preferably we have an internal structure into this area because it's not a clear liquidity point, or we can also get a 1, 2, 3 here and using this high here as a base or something like that. Just some clear continuation pattern to enter short. So that's it. These are my main pairs on watch for the coming week. I hope you can find some value in it, and thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye bye.